Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the Big and Furry Bovine. Joining me is Bronk and Merry Old England. And it's that time of the year, folks, where you know how it goes.
Nothing's happening. Nothing's going to happen.
You don't really need to hear from me. Not that you
Or
ever
me, for
do.
that matter.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that life goes on.
Corky.
Thank you. I'm going to start out with the most ridiculous story that I can think of. You know, I talk about the gambling problem associated with the NFL and how the tide keeps rising in the NFL, so that the numbers for all the teams, the revenue goes up, and they have more to spend and all that, and it's all because of gambling.
Yes.
And people love to gamble on the NFL. And the reason is it's fixed and they're gambling diseased people.
Yep.
And they don't care whether it's fixed or it's not fixed. They don't even care about a team. Yep. They're in it for the money. And the money the money does go someplace into the pockets of the NFL and into the pockets of, the betting services, but not really into the pockets of anybody, because there's never been a plan, never been a scheme, never that. But how rabid are NFL fans? And
how rabid are they?
You ask yourself, that's a great theory, Mr. Moohead, because, gambling people, it's not the NFL's fault. People gambled long before the NFL. 70% of Chiefs Dolphins fans who got frostbite at their playoff game now facing amputation.
No way.
Yep.
Boy,
here we go. -4-degree weather with a -27 wind chill. Remember the game? It was one of the coldest of all time. Fox 4 in Kansas City is reporting that a staggering 70% of people who had to seek medical assistance for frostbite are now facing the reality of amputation.
What, like actual toes and fingers and stuff like that?
Listen, this includes one fan who removed his gloves for 5 minutes to put up a tent in the parking lot and is now in the process of discussing whether or not his fingers need to be amputated. Fans who were affected by the cold are reporting to the Grossman Burn Center in Kansas City as part of their recovery. Some have been lucky to regain feeling in their extremities following the game after numerous treatments and hyperbaric oxygen chambers.
Good Lord. It's like the bends.
And so you say to yourself, anybody who would go to a game in, for a Chiefs Dolphins game in the playoffs, and a -27 wind chill factor, and these crazy fans, they take my jacket off and they're all getting their arms, legs, and toes and fingers cut off. So if they go to that trouble, they gamble.
Yeah.
This is not sane and rational. People are obviously got nothing better to do with their lives. At this point, everything else is so bleak. And I don't mean to be the harbinger of negativity, but I mean, it was really funny.
You're not wrong, though.
It was funny. And this will make some people laugh, because I'm just at the point where I don't take any politics seriously anymore. There was a picture of Joe Biden doing his alleged State of the Union address, which was a campaign speech. And there was a person behind him that people were trying to identify. And they say, who's the guy behind him?
Okay.
I came up with the answer. Terry Fader or Jeff Dunham. It's one of the two.
Don't know either of them, really.
They're ventriloquists.
The
man behind him. Yeah. He's a dummy.
I thought we weren't going to talk about politics ever again.
No, but I thought that was especially funny.
Okay.
And will put me in the better graces of a wider variety of sports fans.
Yeah.
At any rate,
Whatever.
yeah, we're surrounded by stuff that is just mind numbing. And so now we end up with hands numbing and feet numbing. And, can you
Well, I mean,
imagine in Pittsburgh, everybody would have lost this finger because they picked their nose in the stadium? They can't do it with gloves.
well, they could probably try doing it with gloves.
Unreal. Here's Terry Pluto.
Terry Pluto. Now, what would he do without his hands? That would be a catastrophe, wouldn't it?
This is the one case where Pluto is goofy. Never mind.
It's an old Walt Disney joke. You would.
Yes, it's something that's probably not even relevant anymore. Headline: National media ignoring Cleveland teams. Does that matter? And it's like, let's.
Oh.
All right, here's the deal. Ask yourself this question.
Okay, I'll ask myself.
Do you think the Cavaliers' remarkable win against the Boston Celtics,
which I didn't see,
came down to the last shot? It didn't go in. Tatum took it. Tatum missed it. Then they blew the whistle, calling Garland for a foul. Do you think that the official, at the moment he blew that whistle, and there was no contact, none whatsoever, it wasn't anything even resembling a foul. Yeah. With 0.7 seconds left on the clock, do you think that he knew that the Cavaliers had one challenge left? Do you think he knew that? Fuck no.
No.
Fuck no.
None whatsoever.
Fuck the national media, Terry Pluto. That doesn't matter to me, because they got to do whatever they can do to get their ratings up, and they got to appeal to fan bases in larger cities. Here's something that you didn't know. In 1963, Cleveland, Ohio was the 8th largest city in America.
It certainly was.
And people don't remember because a lot of those people are dead. But the bottom line is Cleveland was once a booming metropolis, but it's not anymore. So don't be upset that the national media is ignoring Cleveland teams. What you have to worry about is when the officials reflexively blow whistles against Cleveland teams.
Yeah.
And allow other teams to get away with things that the Cleveland teams can't get away with. That's what you have to be concerned with if you're a fan, because the national media will just propagate whatever stories they have to tell. But the league itself has a different question. A guy blows a whistle like that, and you know what the league says? Well, the Celtics are in first place. The Cavaliers didn't have their players. Everybody will just look at the final score and say, well, it was closer than we thought, but the Celtics won anyway. La-di-da.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no big picture in this. It's like, what the fuck? Well, if the official can pick up a few extra bucks, which would have been the case, he'd have been paid for that call. Because when they showed it in slow motion, and Cavs fans saw the goddamn thing, he shoved off to get separation, which every superstar is allowed to do in the league, because literally forearm shiver people out of the way so that they can take the fadeaway shot. And then on top of it, he kicked his leg out.
Wow.
I mean, which is there should have been a
flagrant on thingy.
A flop call, which they say they're going to enforce, but they don't enforce unless you're the Lakers, you're the Celtics. You know how it goes. You're the Knicks. They'll do that for you. But it should have been a technical foul on them. The Cavaliers should have been back at their end shooting free throws. But they wouldn't do that. But they had to reverse the call because obviously in slow motion and super slow motion, they saw that there was nothing but a very light breeze between Garland's hand and Tatum. So, again, this whole thing about, did you hear what Rich Eisen? I don't care what Rich Eisen said.
Rich Eisen.
I don't care. All the ex-Ravens are saying on ESPN, Ryan Clark and all those people. I don't care about those people because they're in it for obvious reasons and they have a narrative. But when the league starts doing it, that's when I really concern myself. Russell Wilson and the Steelers are going to meet, and he already spoke with the Giants.
Wow.
So Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh. So what does that really mean in the great scheme of things? He's better than Pickett.
Well, I would say that O.J. Simpson got more out of the Bronco than Russell Wilson did. But
God, anyway. Boy, that didn't go very well. That was kind of.
It was a Ford Bronco, by the way. But,
yeah. Honestly, Russell Wilson is, if the Steelers are interested in meeting with him and going through this whole spiel, and he'll be the starting quarterback, that means that Pickett, for all the talk by the owner of the team, by Tomlin, oh, I'm coming back, Tomlin. Oh, and I can't wait to get back with Pickett because he's our guy. Yeah, fuck that shit.
It was all bullshit.
It was all bullshit. So,
you know what we could do? We could pick up Mason Rudolph as a backup.
Yeah.
Oh, but come on, that's funny.
I guess what it tells me is that the Steelers are not in a good place.
No.
We sit here and feel sorry for ourselves as Browns fans. We feel sorry for ourselves. We say, like, things never go our way. But, the Steelers are not rebuilding if they're bringing in a 34-year-old quarterback. They're just waiting. They're biding their time, hoping to draft somebody. There's no future with Russell Wilson. Not an extended future of any sort. So they're treading water at this point. And Double P, I'm not saying he's bad.
No.
Not saying that at all. But there's no forward thinking in this. Let's put it that way, except that we're putting our quarterback needs on the back burner. We got to get one. It means they don't have one. That's the point. So there's that.
Wow.
Oh, God. And they also are releasing Patrick Peterson, the Steelers are. Peterson was serving kind of a special purpose for the Steelers as a freelancing kind of he wasn't a cornerback. He was being used in specialty situations, which means he's the end of his career, and he didn't have the speed. He's 33 years old. He played in all 17 of their games, but he was the versatile guy in the defensive backfield and filled in at safety when injuries just piled up on the team. Coming into this season, into year 13, Peterson said, I knew obviously I couldn't hit those 21 miles per anymore. And I knew it was going to have to be an evolving door that I would have to walk through. He meant a revolving door, but it was close. But, CTE starts slowly. It just so happened that injuries started to pile up on us, and I got to play.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's done.
Yeah. He was a good player 10 years ago. He's a pretty good player. I think he made a few Pro Bowls.
Yeah. Then Amsterdam, Greg Newsome.
Greg Newsome.
Yeah, being a third cornerback, there's talk that's a possible person that can be moved from. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't cry about that. He's undersized, and the fact that Emerson came in and took his job basically, and what limited opportunities he had, he got burned on a lot of plays. He was not on the same page as people.
Well, I mean, if he's in his fifth year or sixth year or whatever it is, I mean, the money that the Browns would save by moving him, I think, would be part of the consideration getting rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a likelihood something like that would happen. Next, the Browns have restructured Jedrick Will's contract, $11 million in salary cap relief.
Wow.
Yep, he had a little over $13 million of his $14 million fifth-year option tender converted to a restructure bonus. Got to give him a little wiggle room. They need wiggle room. The question
does it mean
is,
that he has to pay for his own food now.
Well, it means that he's actually going to have to work at his trade.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. It might be a frightening
He's from
thing.
Alabama. He's entitled. He just shows up and gets into the starting lineup straight away because he's from Bama.
Yep. Now here's what's next, because it brings me in, dovetails me into the next
segue.
So segue. Ex-Cleveland Guardians catcher retires after 11 seasons. That would be the amazing Mike Zunino.
The amazing Zunino.
And this is what this dovetails me into is, it's like, got that last year out of Cleveland, didn't he?
Yeah.
Here's what the Guardians are doing again.
What are they doing?
What they do is they take Cactus League and spring training, and they start pimping young players who are never going to end up anything.
Yeah.
And if they do end up anything, they're going to end up doing it for other teams.
Yeah.
Last year, whether it was Nolan Jones or whether it was Benson, we kept them long enough to fail. And then they moved on, one to Colorado, who hit 20 dingers. That'd be Nolan Jones. And then you would have, the other one, Benson with the Reds, who'd steal like 25 bases and hit 15 home runs. And meanwhile, the Guardians got nothing. But what they're doing this season is they're throwing Chase DeLauter, and they're throwing the other guy, Laureano. And they can't throw Florial at us because he was garbage from the New York Yankees, but he's going to be the one who starts the season because he's the worst player. And this is what we get. You see, when it's time that you have to go in and pay to see the team, what they put on the field is shit. So you're going to get Florial, who is a bum, who can't make contact, and there's no reason why he should even be playing in the major leagues. He'll be the guy out there. And the other guys, Chase DeLauter and Laureano, they'll be back in the minor league somewhere. And the Guardians will say, well, they weren't quite ready. But you know what they're saying now? We're considering bringing them back, for spring training, not just the Cactus League. There's a chance that those two guys, it's like, no, don't believe them. They're just trying to pre-hype any preseason ticket sales that they can. Those guys will not be playing. You're going to end up with the same Miles Straw bullshit that you've been ending up with year after year after year.
Yep.
So, and will Chase DeLauter and the other guy, Laureano, will they amount to anything? By the time they're done waiting down there, they won't have any desire to play in Cleveland. They'll get that late season call up, or if an injury hits like Benson did, or like Nolan Jones did, they'll strike out a bunch of times, and there won't be enough samples, as far as what they are capable of doing at the big leagues. And the Guardians will trade them for garbage that they'll put in their minor league system again. And then, that between those two guys, 35 home runs.
Wow.
Between Benson and Nolan Jones for their respective teams.
No, didn't know that.
And the Cleveland Guardians can't hit a ball out of the park to save their soul.
No.
Can't hit anything. So this is what they're doing. And they, and if they do get anybody, it's, Mike Zunino, or it's Josh Bell, or, it's that. And they're in their last year, and they have to go somewhere. So and this is exactly what the Cleveland Indians were you remember the Rocky Colavito trade days
for Harvey Keene.
Yeah, for Harvey Keene. And you're going to see any good players getting traded off, and then you're going to see, Trader Lane. That was the guy's
That's the guy, Frank
nickname.
Lane.
Yep. Trading off assets for nothing. And that's what the Guardians are going to do. And they're going to squeak by to try to make a living. And they're going to put garbage on the field. Don't you dare pay for it. Don't you dare pay for it. It's not worth it. The product's not worth it. Never has been worth it since the team was invested in. And it's
when they had that one World Series year and they got Andrew Miller in and they had, the other guy closing and stuff. We had a bullpen that could shut out people for 4 innings. That was the last good team. And then ever since then, it's been kind of luck and mirrors. And Francona, that's kept us alive.
Well, now that's gone.
Now he's gone.
So yeah, the bottom is going to fall out of this thing completely. And I'm saying 70 and 92, and I'm dead serious.
Yeah, well, I think it's worse. I mean, Francona was worth 10 wins over average.
Yeah, I mean, do you honestly think that Tristan McKenzie's going to pitch an entire year without arm trouble? Guy looks like he's held together by paper clips, honest to God.
Or leg trouble, for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, and already they sent down another guy who they were saying, oh, he's supposed to be a good player for us. And his name is George Valera. And,
Valera. Whoa.
Yeah. Ever since the Guardians chose him in the draft, he's been injured.
Wow.
Injured. He'll never play. And that's really reassuring.
Is he the new Lonnie Chisenhall then, huh?
Yeah, well, at least Chisenhall played.
Played every now and then, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
well, they always draft like 20 pitchers every year too, don't they?
But you only have there's only been a select few.
Yeah.
And this year it's more about, well, what's Shane Bieber going to do? He's going to get traded. That's what he's going to do.
Yep.
So, this is what we're heading into. It's the black hole that we're heading into is baseball season. So now tonight you might have trouble.
Yeah.
If you're in Cleveland, you won't. WUAB is showing the Cavs game tonight.
Okay.
Not Diamond Sports or Bally's Sports Ohio. They're not going to do that. This is one of the 5 or whatever games that UAB is going to be covering. So if you're in the greater Cleveland area, get your rabbit ears out, or however you pick up WUAB in Cleveland. That's where your game's going to be if you want home announcers. But the Cavs are playing the number 1 in the West, Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are out for a prolonged period of time without Karl Anthony Towns, but it doesn't matter. Edwards is their other big player, and they've been winning without KAT. And this game is in Cleveland, and all of our guys are still injured. And I want to point something else out about what lying can do when you're trying to soften a blow. Donovan Mitchell, if you remember, they said, well, he got a PRP shot. He's going to miss like 3 games. No, bullshit. Did some research. We did some research. The quickest we found anybody to come back from a PRP shot was 13 days. Okay. That was a desperation. Joel Hans Embiid coming back for the playoffs.
Wow.
But in reality, all medical literature would suggest 3 weeks.
Wow. So it's going to be after Easter or Passover.
What I'm telling you is that the Cavaliers are going to fall into the play-in. They're not going to. There's 4 games separating where they are number 4, I think, or 3, or whatever they are right now,
2,
and number 6. They're going to drop to 7 or 8. Because none of their players. I mean, Mobley's gone for a protracted period of time with a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
Now we find out it's really going to be weeks until Donovan Mitchell comes back, and then Max Strus is out tonight. And so, what is there?
Well, who's definitely going to get hurt at some point soon, because it happens every year. Is Jared Allen's going to get hurt? So he'll get crippled somehow.
But the thing that amazes me is like, Why can't people just be honest about this? The reason all these guys are hurt are because of JB Bickerstaff and his stupid rotations.
Yep.
Why in the world? I mean, if you have 8 to 10 minutes for Damian Jones, all right?
Wow.
If you have 10 minutes for him off the bench because Mobley's gone and you got to rest Jared Allen, and you got to have a big man on the floor because you're JB Bickerstaff, even though it's counterindicated, especially having two on the floor at the same time. It's counterindicated in current NBA strategy, but he doesn't live. He's a Renaissance man. He's living in the Renaissance. He's somewhere way back in time. So what's the point of having Pete Nance on the bench from the G League and Imani Bates?
Don't know.
What's the point if they never get into a game? You're not going to win. You're not going to beat these teams.
Yep.
So you might as well see what you got. At least do something,
innovative
or productive. No, I'm not saying that Imani Bates is ready to play, but you know something? You've got a fat guy on the court who can't play because we're all the way through this part of the season. He's overweight. He's out of shape. And George Niang can't move his feet on defense, and he's not even moving his feet to go after loose balls anymore.
Wow.
So why not put the 6'9", 6'10" Imani Bates in and let him shoot threes? Because that's all that George Niang is really doing. So, and that's what 70% of his shots, of Imani Bates' shots in the G League are threes. So let 19, 20-year-old kid show what he's got. And I'm not saying put him in for protracted periods of time because he's not ready to play defense at the NFL level. His body isn't strong enough and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, if you can get, people said, oh, no. I'll tell you who's not ready. Sam Merrill. Wow. Sam Merrill's not ready. And then all of a sudden, man, they put him in and he's thrown in 44% of his three-point shots. The last game they put him in, he was 0 for 10. And I'll tell you why. Because idiot Bickerstaff, and that's what I'll refer to him as from now until he's fired, which will happen after the season. Idiot Bickerstaff just chopped his minutes. Took him off the floor for no goddamn reason. All he did was succeed when he played. He was the leading three-point percentage shooter, even though it was only in limited activity, during that stretch of time that he was getting meaningful minutes in the entire NBA.
Wow.
And it isn't just that he lost his rhythm, Double P. It's that here he was finally given minutes and he was stressed out. He was overly excited.
Yeah, pressing, as they say.
That's right. And that's all it is. He'll be back out and he'll be making 3-point shots. I mean, it's proven that he can drain things and he's got a quick release. But before that, they said, who in the hell knows? He was some Mormon guy who was off at mission. You know what the hell? Who in the hell is he? He was at Utah State. What the fuck? Who's he? He's not ready to play. He's just a two-way roster filler. Then they signed him to a contract. Oh, he's somebody's friend. Whatever. Like, Pete Nance. His last name. That says it all. That's why he's here. And apparently that's the case because Pete Nance does not hit the floor and he's not going to hit the floor. Right? So what would the problem be to rest the obese guy, George Niang, and, give 10 minutes in a game to Imani Bates to see if he can spark something from behind the arc? Just give him a chance. What does it hurt?
Not if you're going to lose anyway.
Yeah. But, DJ Bro, it's funny. The difference between Merrill and Lamar Stevens is that Lamar Stevens shot the ball cockeyed.
Yeah, his arm was all out of whack.
His side spin on the ball. Yep.
Yeah.
But Lamar Stevens tried hard.
Yeah, he played defense on
but
occasion.
he was undersized.
Yeah.
He was like Carlos Boozer guy, but without the offensive game.
And the talent.
But Sam Merrill is exactly what the team said they wanted. They wanted to shoot more threes, shoot more threes, shoot more threes, move the ball around, get the ball to the open man, shoot more threes. That's who Sam Merrill is. And by the time they got around to playing him, it was because everybody got hurt. But when he came in, they kept winning anyway. And then for no reason, you're back on the bench. Because I'm JB Idiot Bickerstaff. And I got to have my 2 big man rotation no matter what.
Wow.
That's the sad part of it. And a game like this against the Timberwolves, I mean, the only games the Cavaliers have won was because Max Strus, who injured himself playing overtime, a 15-point fourth quarter against the Mavericks, and Dean Wade's 20-point final quarter against the Celtics. They were 2 miracle wins. Without that, they wouldn't have won at all. They wouldn't have won. So I'm assuming they're not going to win. So I want to see more players. I don't want to see a limited rotation. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, wow.
As far as Evan Mobley, he twisted his own ankle. He didn't fall on somebody's foot. He fell on his own foot. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, the next thing. I've had people all over my ass on Twitter. They don't like what I'm saying here about Darius Garland.
Wow.
You know, Darius Garland may be a great guy. People don't realize he signed the largest contract of any Cavalier in franchise history. Were you aware of that?
No, but it makes sense.
Over $100 million.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So Darius Garland did nothing in all these years to build up his muscle mass, his body strength. He looks exactly the same as he did when he came into the league.
He does.
And he's getting batted around like a pinball on a pinball machine. So I'm just saying that online. I got this guy coming after me, telling me I'm a piece of shit and all this. And saying, how can you offend Darius Garland, who's more successful than you've ever been? And I'm like,
oh, that's the ad hominem attack again.
Yeah, you know,
I love that.
Yeah, right. All you are is a guy who has 600 followers on YouTube. You're a failure in life. It's like, okay.
Yep, there you go.
All right. Yeah.
Attack the man, not the argument.
But you don't know me
at all.
The dead Ray Charles, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So Darius Garland, the headline here, needs to go from good to great to lead Cavs through injuries. We haven't seen good. That makes you think we're going to see great. I don't have anything against Darius Garland.
No.
I mean, he's a talented player, but talent alone doesn't get it done. So the conversation I get stuck in, then he starts making homophobic remarks like you're too into muscle mass. It's like, you know. Wow. So I sent him a picture of Donovan Mitchell when he came into the league from Louisville, and today.
He was a tiny guy back then, wasn't he?
Like comparatively.
Yeah.
I said, you want me to send you a picture of Giannis or LeBron? You want to see Karl Malone? You want to see Chris Paul? Who do you want me to send you?
How about Sean Kemp?
Yeah, you dumb fuck. You know? So there you have it. Darius Garland is getting his shots blocked in the paint.
He is.
And his selection of shots is poor. Selection of passing is poor. And he is going to have a short career because guys who were bigger than him, guy like Derrick Rose, who didn't have a three-point shot, who had to go into the paint to make their living, got the crap beaten out of them, and they had
got killed,
truncated careers.
Yeah,
in every case. Darius Garland keeps driving to the basket, and the shit that was working before. Nah. I mean, let's be honest. You don't have to cover Evan Mobley off the ball. You don't have to cover Jared Allen off the ball.
No.
So all the other teams' guys are just waiting, coagulated in the lane, waiting for him to drive, and they block his shot. Or he leaves his feet and throws the ball away because he's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, nowhere to go.
Yeah. So this is the time in the offseason to trade Darius Garland. And here's why. And people don't want to hear this, but here's why. Donovan Mitchell will be gone. All right. Yeah. It's all but public knowledge that he has a desire to go to Miami and that his agent has no love for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the way that they're portioning out minutes for his two clients, Donovan Mitchell and Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert is on the court and doesn't care anymore. He's careless, LeVert.
Whoa.
And this is what he's been everywhere he's been. He starts out trying, and then he realizes, like when he's with the Brooklyn Nets after Kyrie leaves and all the good players leave, and he's out there and he just says, "Oh, good, I can take 30 shots a night." That's who Karis LeVert is. And I'm sick of hearing, "Well, he's our explosive scorer off the bench." It's like, I don't like people pulling at my dick. Stop that.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not that. He's a 33% three-point shooter for his career. Stop it. He's not instant offense. He's sometimes, occasionally instant offense. But that's the problem. We can't count on him. Max Strus has had a bad shooting year. Niang is out of shape. Took the money and didn't work out. Didn't work out physically and didn't work out, period, as far as the team was concerned. You've got to do a rebuild on the fly because you do still have Jared Allen. You do still have Evan Mobley. You have Strus and you have Merrill. And you're not ready just to go jump into a foxhole. You're not ready for that yet. You can get, if you want to go the picks route, you can get some really good picks for Darius Garland. He's a former All-Star, but he won't be for long because his career is going to be truncated because he's hurt. He's missing 15 games a year on average and more this year. And if you don't believe that J.B. Bickerstaff isn't a killer, Donovan Mitchell will not win the MVP in the NBA because he won't have been able to fill the 65 games required to play.
Wow.
Never had a problem in Utah. But he came to play with idiot Bickerstaff, and this is what's happened to him. He's a walking wounded. He's got to get the hell out. He's got to go to Miami where coaching knows how and management knows how to parcel out minutes so he will be utilized in a maximal kind of way and not have to play 44-minute games. And that's what the Cavaliers have done to him. So if you want to get high picks, the only thing you got is Darius Garland and to trade Donovan Mitchell by the trade deadline.
When is the trade deadline?
Well, next season. He's got to play another year, but by the trade deadline, he's going to have to be traded. So you got to get players for him. So you got to trade Darius Garland and get players. And that way, you stock up either draft picks or if you want other players, you figure out trade circumstances. So if you want Mikal Bridges, we'll just use examples of players. If you want players like that can keep you somewhere in the range of 45 wins in a season, 40 to 45 wins, you hit on a couple of draft picks that are not named Dylan Windler, and then you might be able to become a 50-win team again and become quasi-relevant. So that's why. And Double P says he would trade Jared Allen. Again,
you don't get much for him now.
He's a pussy. he's a nice guy. He doesn't play physically enough.
Gray hair, though.
Yeah. And good guy. But he doesn't play with the kind of physicality. And he's had some good years in this system. But Darius Garland will fetch more because he is a playmaker, a three-point shooter, and a good three-point shooter. And if he were playing in another system and realized that he has to prolong his career, he'll stop driving to the basket like a lunatic. And yeah, a lot of people would trade Mobley, but here's the problem. There were a lot of people who wanted to trade Isaac Okoro last year and the year before.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Isaac Okoro is becoming not a great, but a reliable player. He's got an acceptable three-point shot that he's hitting 39-40% of for the season.
Yeah, because
he's developed going to the basket off the dribble and finishing at the rim because his body's bigger, stronger. He's worked out in the off seasons and he's added to his strength. And now he's working on pull-ups off of screens and shooting those. There is no reason in the world, guy with a work ethic like that, he will average 16 points a game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Book it. He will. Isaiah Mobley, on the other hand, the problem here, if you trade Isaiah Mobley and he makes the jump in the same period of time that Okoro did and starts adding body mass and strength, then you're going to be really sorry that you traded him and you'll become the laughing stock of the league. Right now, and this is a sad thing to say, the guy that was being called a unicorn is Clint Capella. That's all he is. He's a guy who they throw alley-oops to, and he gets stuffed in the lane because he's not physically strong enough. Capella's built up strength through the years, but Mobley hasn't developed a shot. And part of that is idiot Bickerstaff, who's got to have two big men and have Jared Allen camped under the basket at all times. So what is left for Mobley? So what does idiot Bickerstaff tell him to do? Well, I think you should work on your three-point shot.
Wow.
Motherfucker's 7 foot tall. Well, get his ass into a fucking gym. But yeah, that's why Mobley won't be traded. But Darius Garland, trade him. You will thank me.
Wow. You're grumpy today.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean,
sound grumpy though.
Nah, the Cavaliers, they're a good team, but not a championship team.
No, they're a regular season team.
But there's no reason with a better coach and a better system that they wouldn't be a second round playoff team. There's no reason why that shouldn't be the case. Even with an idiot coach, we've gotten this far. With a real coach and an organization that wanted to play a little more physical basketball.
Well, there are so few real NBA coaches out there. I mean, compared to other sports, like particularly NFL, I mean, the head coach's quality in NFL are higher than the NBA head coaches by a long way, I would say. But where are you going to find one?
It's a good question. But this is enough time for that we've seen what Bickerstaff has.
Yeah.
And we don't need any more
He ain't going to get any better. He ain't learning.
No. And we don't need any more sample size on this. Mobley, I give one more year to, and I tell him in the offseason, either you build up mass or you're gone. That's what I would tell him. Because, look, you either do what we're telling you to do or you find employment someplace else. We'll take care of that for you. So, Double P, Doc Rivers, what an ugly mud of a man. Goodness gracious. Time has not been kind to Doc Rivers. Mud of a man. Yeah, well, I think that there are better choices than JB Bickerstaff, and we're good enough
Well,
to be a second round team. We don't have the market size or the superstar,
no.
and we won't in the future once Donovan Mitchell leaves. So we have to do it the old-fashioned way, which, if you're the very best you can be, could get you into the second round. We already got our championship.
Yeah,
That's
the only
it.
one the league is ever going to let us have.
Well, it's the only one. It's the only one that it was a fluke that
Yep.
the greatest genetic basketball freak was raised in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah.
Had a love for Northeast Ohio. Got drafted to Northeast Ohio and came back to Northeast Ohio.
Came back again.
It took all of those circumstances to get that championship, so that ain't going to happen again.
No.
Nick Nurse. I'm not even going to explain to you how you know he's the head nurse.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Well, let me finish the show up because there's no.
Yeah, there's nothing. I have nothing.
That's right. And this is plenty.
We could
enough.
all go home. Yeah.
Here's something for the Baker Bros. Mike Evans, who got re-signed for 2 years, is extremely confident that Baker Mayfield stays with the Buccaneers.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, I'm extremely confident, Evans said. I'm not 100%, but he played really great for us last year. The city took him in. The players loved him. Hopefully we get him back. But he should do what's best for him. Well, I hope he does do what's best for him. Evans is now 30 years of age, all right?
Yeah.
Me and Baker, we played one season together. I feel like we can build on what we did last year. So hopefully we will get him back. He's a hell of a player. I appreciate him. They're going to handle their process, and I trust the GM, the front office, no matter what happens. What if Mayfield doesn't return? Evan said, oh, I know I can play with whoever's at quarterback. So that makes Baker not that special, okay? I mean, come on. That's what he just said.
Wow.
No, I don't have anything against Baker Mayfield, but they were 9-8.
Well, he had a year where he stayed healthy too. I mean, that's the big thing with him. When he's crippled, he's awful. So
when he's good, he's good, and when he's like the little girl with the curls, you know, very, very bad when he's bad. And turnovers are a problem, and were a problem even last season. That was overlooked because of the surprise of things, just like the surprise of Cleveland making it into the playoffs. With him. And then the following year where everything crashed to earth. Hey, it's up to the Bucs. They can spend their $150 million.
Oh, they got the money.
Any way they want to spend it. But Amsterdam. The world of track and field. A women's 400-meter record was shattered by a half second. A 41-year record. Wow.
I think that was indoor.
Yeah, who did it? Femke Bol. Ugandan?
I think that's a Dutch girl. I'm not sure.
Femke Bol? I don't know.
Look.
It's like Manute Bol.
She's Dutch. Very Dutch. She's very Dutch.
Yeah.
Very Dutch, and like all Dutch people, if I could generalize here, extremely tall.
Yeah, there you go. And hello to Christopher Milton. How you doing, my friend? So nothing against Baker Mayfield. I hope he does well. I hope he is successful on all fronts. I hope. But history tells me I wouldn't be so quick if I were the Buccaneers. I wouldn't be so quick because he's not a kid anymore, and he will always be short. He will always get passes batted down, and he will always throw interceptions at strange times. So,
he will.
It's interesting, Double P. The college
Pete's
record.
Dead.
Yeah, he said he's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah, he's dead. You can't do anything about it.
But you wish that Maravich could have kept it. Well, times change.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Clark is a fine female basketball player. Absolutely fine. And Pete Maravich was a prolific NCAA men's scorer. And the time for women's basketball has been now for a couple of years. And there need to be people who have the skill set that has been missing from women's basketball and the unbridled range that Caitlin Clark has. Caitlin Clark is, like a 30-foot range on three-point shooting, has a pure looking shot, isn't shooting the ball from her navel, has a quick release. I love it when somebody comes up and moves their sport up. And Caitlin Clark deserves credit. And that's why I don't have a problem with the college record going to her, because Pete Maravich ushered in an era of NBA basketball that was not appreciated when he played in the pros. He got shipped around like Wilt Chamberlain did to all kinds of bad teams. And Pete Maravich, they said he was a hot dog. But the stuff that he was doing then has become a staple in the game today. Yeah. All the between the leg dribbles and those types of things all came into vogue after he was done playing. That's the deal.
That was a very long time ago. I mean, what are we talking about? 1971 or something?
Both were pioneers. They were both pioneers for their sport, so I give credit to both of them. And Mark Lewis has something. Yeah, you're right. I'm not a fan of college football. What is your honest opinion of Devin Brown at quarterback? Because I'm not a big fan of his, and I would not be qualified to answer that. I can tell you this. Watching Ohio State this year, I wasn't really very high on on anything about Ohio State. It's obvious that Ryan Day's time is limited, and you lose your advantage in the recruitment of players. And they try to keep it for you because if you're one of the 10 teams, the CFP tried they tried to sneak in verbiage that said that there would be automatic buys for these top 10 teams. I mean, this whole thing is pathetic, is what it is. And Ohio State, as far, they've always had great wide receivers because they've had quarterbacks to throw the ball to them. I don't know about Devin Brown, but I can say that great quarterback of the future in college are already stepped into the portal and found their way to the top 10 teams. And, I wasn't that high on the University of Michigan's quarterback either, because they had a running game, they had a big defense, and, we'll see. Where is he going to get drafted? There are some people saying they got to move up to the first round to get McCarthy. It's like, no, don't do that. In my opinion, don't do that.
No, he's an X factor. If we can get back to Pete Maravich for half a minute, he was drafted in 1970.
Yeah,
he was the 3rd overall pick behind 2 future Hall of Famers, Bob Lanier and Rudy Tomjanovich.
Yep.
And then Dave Cowens was drafted right after him. And then further down in that draft, at 18 and 19, were Calvin Murphy and Nate Archibald. Now that's a good group of Hall of
group of
Famers there.
players. And Maravich got a lot of publicity, but he just couldn't stay on a team because he was. Where did he go? The then New Orleans Jazz. Is that where he started?
He was drafted by the Hawks.
Oh, the Hawks. Okay.
Drafted by the Hawks, and then he bounced around, as you said.
Yeah, and
Hawks, the New Orleans, Utah for 6 years, and then he ended. His 10th year was with the Celtics. So.
Yeah, and he was crippled by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly, Amsterdam. When you hear Rudy Tomjanovich, you think of Kermit Washington. Oh, God almighty, that was
Kermit
awful.
Washington.
He was the one who cold cocked him, who knocked him.
Kermit Washington.
Broke his face, man. That is the most violent single thing, along with the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Oh, yeah, which was the same year.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Literally the same time.
So
but yeah, that Kermit Washington thing is probably out on YouTube if people don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
You just look up Kermit Washington, Rudy Tomjanovich, and
how the guy wasn't arrested, I'll never know.
It's sickening. It's one of those things that is the most sickening thing. You thought Draymond Green was bad.
No.
You got to see this. Well, I'm done. I'm finished. I got to get out of here. Bronk, I appreciate you being here with me. And everybody who jumped into the chat, thank you. I appreciate any attention that the program gets.
Yeah, and if you're watching in another country that doesn't move their clocks forward, it'll be an hour earlier next 3 weeks.
So that's right. And as far as the Cavaliers game, WUAB TV.
UAB, Superhost.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm Marty Sullivan.
He's also dead.
He's dead. Before I go, I wanted to say the 3 protagonists.
Okay.
Houlihan.
Big Chuck.
That's right.
And Little John.
They're all still alive.
They're all alive, yeah.
They're still, all 3 of them are alive. So
I hope we haven't done anything to him. We haven't invoked that evil piece of vinyl for a long time.
No, I don't even know where he is. I know where he is, but I don't know where he is.
But no. You're not acknowledging.
No.
Yeah.
I hope the Cavs have a good game tonight and enjoy watching. And I will see you again come Monday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.